Hello viewers, we welcome you to our brand new series. It is Testimony Time. In this series, we shall be talking about a God who answers prayers, talking to men and women in whose lives God has made a difference because someone prayed. Let us use as our text for this series 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14. And I read, "If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sins and heal their land." God means it when he says that if we pray, he will answer. Let us look at the story of Hezekiah as recorded as a way of starting off this program. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 38, we come across the story of Hezekiah. The Bible says that Prophet Isaiah walked into his compound and told him to put his house in order. Without any ceremony, and without a prayer, which would have been the normal Christian thing to do. And after that, Isaiah just walked out because he was delivering a message from a God who never changes his mind. When this message was delivered to Hezekiah, he turned to the wall, the Bible records, and cried bitterly. In verse 2 of chapter 38, Hezekiah turned his face to the wall and prayed to the Lord. "Remember me, O Lord, how I've walked before you faithfully and wholeheartedly with devotion." Before Isaiah could get out of his compound, God stopped him because somebody had prayed. And God told him, "Go back and tell Hezekiah that I will give him 15 more years. I have seen his tears." Because one man prayed, God changed his mind. In our series this morning, I will be talking to a young man who, like Hezekiah, was deathly sick and turned to God. Help me welcome Andrew SEREMANI. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Welcome to our program, and I'm happy that you can be here today. You have told me that God has answered your prayers.
Yes.
That there was a time in your life that you were deathly sick.
Yes.
Yes. Andrew was born and brought up in Kenya, but now lives in the United States of America, where in 2011 was diagnosed with a rare kind of cancer known as germ cell. I met Andrew long before I actually met him through his sister Rose, who is a dear friend of mine. And when Rose told me about Andrew and the amount of prayers that was said for Andrew, I knew and I hoped that a time would come that we would meet. Andrew,
yes.
Please share with us your story.
Okay. I think I'll go a little bit back than 2011. I'll go to 2010, September to be precise. That's when I got married,
Yes.
newlywed. So we went for a honeymoon after that. But something happened in October. I started experiencing pain on my left leg, by the thigh. So this kept on going, but for me, because of the kind of work that I was doing, I thought it was because I drive a lot. So I thought it was because of driving, that's why I'm having the pain. So I never really sought medical attention. So I could use maybe ice in the evening and cool off the leg, and I was able to sleep. But it persisted for a little bit. So by December, we decided I have to go and see a doctor and see what is the problem. So the main thing was to do a physical.
Yes.
So we went with my wife and did my physical. As the doctor was conducting the exercise, she was able to feel something hurt in my lower abdomen. And she stopped right there and she was like, okay, I think you need to do a CAT scan to be able to determine what is happening in your abdomen. So from that moment we had to go and into a hospital and start the whole process again. So I went to the hospital, they did x-ray, they did a CAT scan. When they did the CAT scan, that's when they said there's a body mass, which is the size of an apple fruit in my lower abdomen. So they have to do a biopsy to be able to determine if it's cancerous or not. So this took a few more weeks. By March, they were able to do the CAT scan, the biopsy, and shortly after they had the results, and they said it was cancerous.
So you get married in the month of September, and in December you start feeling this discomfort. We are looking at 3 months after you got married.
Yes.
You go for this test starting January, and in March you have this pronunciation that you have cancer. Tell me, how did you as a family, small family that you have, respond to this news?
Well, initially we were shocked, as normal human being you'll be. When you're given this kind of news, you get shocked. Then it takes time for you to process. But what really helped us, we had to come together as a family, and my wife was like, okay, we have to pray about this situation, and then we'll be able to find a good solution for it. So we prayed. It took a few days before I could call my family back home, let my sister know about the whole issue. And when I explained to her, we prayed over the phone. So it kind of comfort. That gave us the comfort to be able to face the challenge ahead of us. And also we shared with the family, the church family, and they were all able to pray for us. And so the next thing was to go and talk to the doctor and see what we need to do. So they recommended that I have to do chemotherapy. That was the only treatment that they could give me. And they said that I will be scheduled to start in June, which will run for 4 months, which is 4 cycles of chemotherapy. I had no idea what chemotherapy is all about, but I tried to ask the doctor, but they said, well, it's just like any other treatment, except there are some side effects. It kills both your good and bad cells in your body, but it has more benefit because it cures the disease. Okay, so we said that's fine, we can go ahead. So they had to install what they call a port in my chest, connecting to the main vein, which is behind the collarbone, and that's the only way they could administer the chemotherapy.
So eventually the time comes when you get admitted into hospital. You're going in for chemotherapy. You have no idea what you are going to meet.
Yes.
But you know that you have the support of your wife praying, the church praying, and your sister praying.
Yes.
Tell me a little about your life as praying people before you came to this place. In your family, where was prayer in your family as you grew up?
I was brought up in a Seventh-day Adventist home.
Yes.
My parents were all prayerful parents, and we were always in church as a family. So that's the life that I had when I'm growing up. My wife, likewise, had the same kind of lifestyle. The family is very much involved in the church and they pray. So it was not a big deal, coming together and making a prayer.
So prayer had a central place
Yes.
in your life.
Yes.
Okay, so June comes and it's time for you to go into hospital.
So yeah, we went. The first day, we had to get there by 7:30 in the morning because it's a whole day. As they explained, it's a whole day event. So we got there 7:30 in the morning. They did blood work. Then they, after that, they decide, okay, your kidneys are functioning well, so they can administer the whole medication. So first they give you fluids like saline, which helps with the dehydration in your system. And then they give you anti-nausea medication before they start now the chemotherapy itself. So which takes a whole day until 4:30, sometimes 5 in the evening. Well, the first day I didn't feel bad because they didn't have all the 3 medications that I was supposed to get. So they had to do it for 3 days. So the first day it wasn't bad. Coming the second day, now I'm getting weak. Third day, somebody has to drive me to the hospital because I could come in the morning, then go home in the evening. I wasn't admitted.
What did the doctor say about the weakness? You say first day you didn't feel anything, second day you feel some weakness. Did the doctors explain?
The doctor was never there. It's only the nurses who were there. They could only reach the doctor over the phone.
So you go home after the third day?
After the third day, I go home. Now, some issues come up. I'm not able to eat because anything I eat just comes right out. The only thing I could eat and it's able to stay in my system was potatoes. That's the only thing I could eat. I tried vegetables. It actually made it worse because now the stomach started paining. If sometimes even drinking water, it was also causing stomach pain. So I kept in touch with my sister, and in that event, in the course of that month of June, she was able to talk to a church family back here in Kenya.
Yes.
That's in New Life Church. And one of the ladies said, okay, your brother, I have a brother in the US who is a doctor.
Yes.
Not a conventional doctor, but this is a medical missionary doctor.
Yes.
Just give him a call and talk to him. He can help your brother. So my sister made the phone call and talked to the medical missionary, who is Jim Ayodo. They talked and they put a 3-way to connect me to be able to explain my issue. And we talked. So I explained I was having pain in my stomach, and in that course he said, okay, you need to change the kind of water you drink. Because every time I drink water, I was having pain in my stomach.
So here you are, being treated conventionally with chemotherapy, but your sister has a family here with whom they are praying, and they suggest that you try this medical missionary.
Yes.
And the first thing that he prescribes and says you change is the water you drink.
Yes.
Yes.
So he told me, because of that pain, just go buy distilled water. That will help you. And also, take some garlic, fresh garlic. It was just a simple thing.
Yes.
Well, I did that and the pain disappeared. The pain I was feeling in my stomach, once I started drinking the distilled water, I didn't feel it anymore.
Once you started drinking the distilled water and eating raw garlic,
yes,
the pain disappeared.
The pain disappeared.
And then?
Okay, so later on we talked again. So he was a little busy, but he said he'll make time to come and see my situation and see how he can help me.
Did you go for any more chemotherapies?
Yes. By the time we agreed when he was coming, I was going for the second round, which is in July. So he agreed he'll come that week. I went for the second round, which this time around they had all the 3 medications, and it lasted 5 days. But this was really bad, this second round, because I had already lost my hair. All of my hair had already gone. I was not able to eat. I was losing a lot of weight. The weight was coming down, and I was very weak. Also, walking became a problem because I was losing balance. I had to hold somewhere, like in the house, I have to hold the wall for me to be able to walk straight. So, although I did go for the second round, by the fourth day, my kidneys were failing. It could not process the toxins in the system, in my body. So my legs retained water because I wasn't able to go to the bathroom. There was a lot of water retained in the system.
And all this is happening and you're going into hospital?
Yes.
And they continue to administer this chemotherapy on you?
Yes. Okay. On that Thursday, the only thing they did different was they gave me Lasix, which it's a type of medication which helps you to go to the bathroom. So
did it help?
For a little bit, maybe an hour or two, while I was in the hospital. But after that, it didn't work. Because Friday when I came back, my legs were still swollen, and my kidneys were really elevated. When saying elevated means they are really going to fail. That's what it means. But God is good. The medical missionaries came that Friday.
So you finish your chemotherapy on Friday.
Yes.
You go back home.
I go back home.
Your kidneys are packing up.
Yes.
And then the medical missionaries arrive.
Around 5, 6 in the evening.
Yes.
That's Jim, his wife, and the son, Musa, a young boy. So they came. They were coming to stay with me for a week, and so we can work a regimen to help me out.
Tell me a little about medical missionaries.
Okay.
Yes.
Medical missionary is part of the Seventh-day Adventist. It's people who go out teaching about the health message and how you can prevent common illnesses naturally instead of using conventional methods. All this is based on the biblical perspective from the Bible, how Jesus was treating people back then when he was preaching the message.
Okay, tell me. Now, Jim and his wife
Yes.
and their son arrive at your home
Yes.
on Friday, the day you finish your chemotherapy. You are weak, your legs are swollen,
Yes.
your body is...
It's not functioning properly.
Yes.
I'm not able to go to the bathroom. My legs were really swollen. There's a lot of water in it. So I was in a bad shape. So he looked at me and he said, okay. All he did, he just gave me activated charcoal. Okay.
So the first thing he gives you is activated charcoal?
Activated charcoal, which you put 2 spoons in a glass of water and mix it up and drink. He did that because he had to go to church to do a presentation that evening, that Friday evening. So he gave me that about 6, 7. He went to church
Yes.
to do the presentation. So when he came back around midnight, that's when he gave me some more of the same activated charcoal and water, drinking water. We slept over the night. In the morning, I did the same thing for breakfast. And they gave me some salad. I was able to eat a little bit. It was difficult.
Some salad?
Yes.
Yes.
Salad, vegetable salad.
Vegetable
which is
salad.
made from cabbage, onions, and garlic. Something very simple. There's no dressing on it. The only dressing they could put was olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. So by lunchtime, they also gave me some more activated water. I mean the charcoal put in the water. So I drank it. That evening, Saturday evening,
Yes.
I started going to the bathroom.
You have been to the hospital. You have had 2 chemotherapies.
Yes.
Your body is shutting down.
Shutting down.
Your kidney has actually failed. This medical missionaries, which is a Seventh-day Adventist health message come and they put you on activated charcoal,
Yes.
some little salad and distilled water, and that same evening you're able to start
the
following day you're able to start going to the toilet.
Yes.
And passing the fluids that were clogging your system.
Yes.
Yes.
I did that throughout the night.
Yes.
So by Sunday morning, my legs had already come back to normal size. Most of the fluid was out. That's where now we started also the garlic, in case there was any internal injuries like infections or anything, because the garlic is more like antibiotic.
A natural
That's
antibiotic.
a natural antibiotic. So that's what we used.
Was there anything else that they put you on besides the garlic and the activated charcoal?
Initially, that was the only thing they could do. But after 3 or 4 days, about 3 days, then we started hydrotherapy, to where you put water in a bucket. A good size of bucket where it can reach your knees, hot enough that it cannot burn you, but it's hot enough to make you sweat. So you put your legs in there, cover with a thick blanket up to your neck, and you stay there for an hour. You sweat. The sweating helps you to take out the toxins from your body. It helps you, your kidneys, your lungs. It helps you to sweat most of the toxins out. So, but while doing that, also make sure you have a cold towel on your forehead, so that you don't get a headache, because it's a draining exercise, but it helps a lot. Then once you finish, you need to have a rest for about 20 minutes before you can eat something light, let's say like porridge. Then take a shower after that, and you'll feel pretty well.
So that is the treatment pattern that you are now put on.
Yes.
For how long were you on this treatment pattern?
Okay, the charcoal, that one took like a month. Then we started reducing it, because even after they had left, we still got in touch over the phone. So it was going on throughout the month. Then the following month I was to reduce it maybe twice a week. Okay, but also in that instant, the following week, before the week is over actually, like the 5th day, 6th,
Yes.
they gave me onion, a medium-sized onion, put it in a blender with 1 cup of water.
Yes.
Then you blend it and drink all that mix. It's not a very easy thing to do, but
Do they add any flavor, some honey to it?
No flavor, nothing. It's just the water and the onion.
How does the onion help?
The onion, now that's the treatment for the cancer itself. According to the explanation, your body gets attacked at night. When you're sleeping, that's when the disease comes out to attack the body, and looking also for food. So the onion, I was taking it at night, like 8 p.m. before I go to sleep, so that when those cancer cells come out looking for food, they find the onion, and the onion kills them instant. So in the morning, you take the activated charcoal to clean out all those toxins in the body.
As we thank God for this health message that the Seventh-day Adventists have, that looking at you seem to have done you good. I'd like us to refocus just a little on some of the prayer support that you got. You had your wife praying, her family and your family praying, your sister Rose. How did the church relate to this? And even your other friends and other people around you?
Well, it was a tough situation for most people, but trusting in God played a big role, because everybody, some people gave up, some said I won't make it, but there are a lot who came together, and they could come and visit, and we prayed together. if I'm not able to, because I wasn't able to go to church anyway, they could come home to our house to give us the support and the prayers. Even others from other denominations, they also came. And when my sister calls, we can also pray over the phone. So this really helped us a lot.
So there was constant prayer support that you got, not only from your sister and her group in Kenya, but also from your church in the US and the churches around you.
Other churches, yeah. Even non-Adventist members who knew me, they also came, and we prayed together, sing hymnals, which was uplifting. At least it gives you hope to see that there's something at the end of this.
So this prayer support gave you hope. The God in whom you believed, you knew that God would come. In spite of the fact that some people gave up, it gave you hope that God would come through for you.
Yes.
As we come to the end of our session this day, I would like you just to tell our viewers what you would tell someone who is going through a similar challenge as yourself. What would you tell them? And I would like you to just look at the camera and just speak to the audience and let them know what you would tell them about this God who obviously came through for you, seeing that you could travel home and we could have you here. Just in a few minutes, yes.
Okay. God is a wonderful God. And He has given us the commands, the 10 commands, but also there's also the health commands that we need to follow in conjunction to the commandments in the Bible, which is eating the right food, getting sunshine, and also getting fresh air. But in all that, you have also to trust in God and pray without ceasing. This is the only way you can get healed. Yes, I'm not saying that the doctors don't help. Yes, they do their part, but God is the one who heals in all these situations.
Thank you very much, Andrew. It was my pleasure talking to you in our very brand new series. It is time for testimony. We want to thank you for taking time to come and speak with us. I know there is a second part to your story, and I believe we will find time to talk about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Viewers, I would like to let you know that we do serve a God that answers prayers. As the Lord says in 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14, if my people pray, if my people will humble themselves and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, the Lord says, then I will hear and I will forgive their sins and answer their prayers. God means exactly that. When God talks about healing, the land, He's not just talking about the land that we till. He's talking about the land which is our family. He's talking about the land which is our body. He's also talking about healing us spiritually. I trust God that you will follow through this program as we bring to you the Lord who answers prayers in our new series. It's time to testify. May the Lord bless you. Hello, viewers. It's testimony time once again, a brand new program coming to you about testimonies on how God answers prayers. My guest today is Andrew SEREMANI. For those who are joining us for the first time, Andrew is not new to those who were with us last week. Andrew shared with us how in the year 2011, only 3 months after he was married at a colorful wedding, he was diagnosed with the rarest type of cancer known as germ cell. Andrew nearly died. He went to hospital, had 2 chemotherapies, and his body packed. With the damaged kidney collapsed, he knew it was really the end. It was at this point that God sent a medical missionary, G. Mayodo, into his home, together with his wife, Dorcas, and their son, Musa. When they arrived, they put Andrew on a regime. And Andrew is going to share with us how this regime worked for them. But before we go there, I want to remind you of our key text, 2 Chronicles chapter 7 and verse 14. And I'd like to read it once again in your hearing. If my people who are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sins and will heal their land. Friends, I want to tell you that God means exactly that. When he says, if we pray, he will hear, forgive, and heal. I'd like to welcome Andrew to this session. Thank you, Andrew, for taking time to be with us again today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Towards the end of our session last week, you talked about God answering prayers, but you also very fondly talked about Jim and his family spending time and told us how they put you on a regime that helps you. But time did not allow us to go into great detail. I'd just like you to help us understand how this regime works, what it was, and anything else that was related to this before we go to the second part of your story.
Okay, besides the activated charcoal, as we talked last time,
Yes.
the onion and the garlic, there are also other health laws that they had to share with me, which are biblically based. That is to have fresh air, getting enough sunshine, proper nutrition, enough rest, also trusting in God.
Thank you very much. Now tell me just a little on how your normal day, what time does your day start? Talk a little about your diet and any detail that you think would be helpful to our viewers.
Okay. Normally my day will start 6 a.m. in the morning. That's when I wake up. First thing, I take a glass of activated charcoal mixed in water, then regular water after that, a second glass. 7 o'clock, that's when I have 7 a.m. in the morning. That's when I'm starting to take my breakfast, which comprises, it's a full course meal, which comprises of a vegetable salad, and then we can say maybe ugali, some beans and cooked vegetables, so that you get the proteins, the carbohydrates, and the vegetables. And then there is, to crown that all, you finish with uji, porridge, a brown one, preferred. And then 10 o'clock, you take 2 glasses of water.
Yes.
No meals in between until 1 o'clock. That's when I'll take my second meal, which is a little light. And then the third meal, if necessary. Most of the time it's not, but it has to be really very light. So that is most likely fruits and nuts. And then you drink some water after that. All this has to happen before 6 p.m.
Now you're telling me that your day, it sounds like your day gets reversed.
Yes.
Your breakfast sounded like it was the main meal of the day.
Yes.
And then you mentioned that your 1 o'clock meal would be light.
Yes.
And then almost nothing or something very small. Tell me, what is the benefit of this?
The benefit, when you go to sleep at night, your body needs to rest to be able to heal yourself. So if you eat a lot at night, then you're trying to digest the food, so the body is getting worked up. So it doesn't have that moment of healing. It's still trying to digest your food that you've taken, and that doesn't help in healing your body. So it's best to, so that if you don't eat a lot in the evening, if you have very light, that way when you wake up in the morning, you're hungry, and your system is much stronger to be able to digest the real course meal in the morning.
And ready for a big breakfast.
Yes.
Which is what? Now, you mentioned to me when we finished last time that this is a health message given to the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Yes.
And seeing as it was, at this time you did mention that you were progressing well. Your health is improving.
Yes.
Your strength is coming back. Your kidney is functioning well.
Yes.
And just tell me how you were feeling. You're able to walk and do some exercise?
Yes. Okay. Besides the nutrition part, there's also going in the sun, at least early in the morning, between 7 and 9, when the sun is not too hot, and in the evening.
For how long?
An hour.
Okay.
At least an hour in the morning. So that way you get the vitamin D, which will help you to build your bones, to make them strong, the bone marrow, so that you can produce more blood cells. Also in the evening after 4, 5, when the sun is not hot. Also, the other benefit was to go out and get fresh air. You know, when you stay in an enclosed environment, the air is not circulating. So you go out, get fresh air to be able to go into your system and carry that blood around, circulate. The exercise was to walk.
All right.
To walk.
So at this time, you're able to walk and
Yes.
walk around,
I was
get
able
out
to
of the
walk.
house?
Yes. I walk around, maybe 30 minutes, go a little, although I have to go with somebody because I was not fully back to normal. I had to go with somebody and walk around for at least 30 minutes so that you can regain that energy in your body, and then come back in the house. That one is done in between the meals. Like once you take the breakfast, you rest a little bit, then go out for a walk, do all the sun, like that. So that's how my day was.
And did you ever go back to the hospital for your 3rd and 4th chemotherapy?
No, I was not. We didn't get there, but something else happened. Towards the end of July, I started my day. This was on a Friday. Towards the end of July. So I started my day normally. Took my breakfast. Went through the day. Lunchtime came. I took my lunch. In the evening, I had visitors from my church who came to pray with us and to spend some time with us. When they left, I started experiencing pain in my stomach. So I thought it was constipation maybe. I didn't know what had happened. So I drank some water, I took some fruits, but it kept going. It's not letting go. This kind of condition continued till the following day, which is Sabbath. By 11 in the morning, it had become worse. Now I'm throwing up, really having pain. I'm not even able to walk. I had to stay in the bed. So in that process, we called Jim to find out what else we can do. So he told us what we can do. Take papaya, and hopefully that can help if there's constipation. But it didn't change. Also, he recommended I take a hot bath, hot-cold bath, so that it can help to restart the, how do you call it, the
system?
digestion system.
Yes.
But in that process, while I was doing the hot-cold shower, which was in the evening about 6:37, I fell down in the bathroom, knocked my head in the back, from my back, and I passed out.
You are experiencing a crisis.
Yes.
And you've been to hospital, you've had 2 chemotherapies, but in this, your moment of crisis, you call Jim. Now, Jim is the medical missionary.
Yes, that's the
so
medical
you call
missionary.
Jim. He gives you prescriptions over the phone because he's far away from you.
Yes.
You follow these things through. You get into the bathroom to shower and you fall, hurt your head and pass out.
My head was not hurt.
Was
that's
anything-
that's the amazing part.
The amazing. You didn't get hurt at all.
I did not get hurt at all. I think this is God trying to tell me you need to go to the hospital. Something is wrong with your system. So I fell down, hit my head, and I was knocked out. But thank God there was my wife was in the house, and some family friends were there. So they heard about my falling. They came to my rescue. They said I was I was knocked out for 5 minutes. For me, it looked like a few seconds, but it lasted 5 minutes. So in that process, they had to call ambulance, which came shortly after, maybe in 10 minutes they were there. They picked me up and they had to take me to emergency room in a hospital. Now, this is a different hospital.
You go to a different hospital from
Yes.
the one where you were
Where I
having
did the
chemo.
chemotherapy.
Yes.
So getting there, now I'm awake. I was able to communicate with the doctors. So they were asking where I'm having a problem. I said, the only problem I have is my stomach. That's the only problem. So they said, okay, the doctors who are here cannot deal with that, so we have to call a specialist. So they called a specialist who is a surgeon also. So she came, we talked a few minutes. She recommended I go do a CAT scan to see what is happening in my stomach. So, which we did. When the results came out, so she came back, she was like, well, you have a lot of infection and your intestines have perforation. Perforation means they're leaking. Whatever you eat, the food is coming out and it's going where it's not supposed to go.
So as you eat, the food does not reach the stomach. It leaks into the other parts of the stomach where food should not leak before it gets there. And it seems that this has gone on for a while and you already have a bad infection.
Yeah. Now that I recall back, I think the time when I was having a problem drinking water and I get pain, so maybe that was right after the first chemo. So maybe then the damage had already been done. But I wasn't aware if that was the case until now that they had to do the CAT scan and see.
Help me to understand something. You go to hospital, you get chemo done.
Yes.
When you come back home, as you drink water, you get pain in your stomach.
In my stomach.
And in retrospect, you're thinking this might have been the genesis of this perforation.
Yes.
Okay, you can continue.
Okay, so so when the doctor came back and said you have perforation, it means, so she said, to help you, otherwise she didn't know even how I survived, because she said, usually perforation kills people within 24 hours.
How do you think you survived?
That's God's doing.
God's doing.
Yes, that's through God's power, I was able to last that long. Because according to her, the infection was really bad. Because the surgery took 6 hours for them to cut me open and clean the place and also cut part of my intestine. It took 6 good hours. That's from around midnight, 1 a.m. to 6 in the morning. That's when they were able to finish. So she said we have to do emergency surgery right now. Yeah, and that was.
So you were taken into surgery immediately as soon as they could?
Well, yeah, it took an hour to prepare the whole process and getting her ready to do the surgery. So, so they took me in. So the next thing I remember, I'm waking up in ICU the next day. I have a breathing tube, I have oxygen. They also had 3 tubes through my mouth, one going to my stomach to get whatever food was there out. And the other one for urine and all other things, which I can't remember what it was anyway. But it was scary because when I went to the hospital, I didn't have all those things. But the doctor came and explained what had happened, and so I stayed in ICU for 2 days. And so there was progress. So they were able to remove the breathing tube, but the oxygen tube was still intact. That one I had to stay with it. The third day, they were able to transfer me to regular ward, where now I can get regular attention.
Okay. Now, just let me backtrack a little. As you are experiencing this crisis,
yes,
just help me to understand. You did mention that you had the church visiting with you and praying with you.
Yes.
Of course, we have established that your wife has a prayer life, and she was also praying. Any other prayer support that was going on at this time?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of other places where people are praying.
Yes.
When my sister called, whenever she calls, we also pray on the phone, but she also mentioned that she had to share with her local church family and friends. And my brothers and my other sisters, they all had to come together with the local church families and pray for me. Which even the other people who were calling, some I don't even know, I've never met, but they could call, maybe call my wife and say, we're praying for your family. So the prayer part was really the key thing in all this process that I was going through.
You are out of ICU after 2 days,
yes,
and you're taken to the general ward. Tell us how the progress went after this.
Okay, going to the general ward had its own challenges, but I was able to manage because I was in so much pain. I'd lost a lot of weight. You could see all my bones showing. I lost so much weight. I can say I was about 90 kilograms, but I'd come down to about 50. That's how bad it was. So like getting out of bed, somebody had to really help me to walk, to be able to lift me up, because now I have the surgery. I had, because they had to cut part of my intestine. So I had my colostomy also. My intestine they're still out, and the ileostomy on the other side. The ileostomy is the large intestines, and the colostomy is part of the small intestine. So, so on a regular day.
You said something,
yes,
that you had colostomy, ileostomy.
Yes.
And you just help our viewers to understand what that means. You did mention it in passing,
okay,
that they are still out, and you still have to go back for surgery for the correction.
Yes.
But just for our viewers to be able to get the feel of what you mean by those big but very important words, please.
Okay. The colostomy is basically when they cut your intestines, they have to remove part of it once they cut it, part of it has to be out. Remain outside. Because now the whole process of where the food goes through until you're able to go to the bathroom is cut short. So the colostomy, that's now what I use to go to the bathroom. That's what now you use to go to the bathroom? Yeah. Yes. Until I heal, until the whole parts heal, then for them to be able to reconnect. And the ileostomy is just to vent, I think, to take out whatever
needs to come out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But usually there's nothing much.
That comes out.
Usually it's just a little bit mucus. And that's
Okay.
It. Yeah.
So this will happen until you're able to go back to the hospital, and they will do a surgery.
Yes.
And what will the surgery do? What will they do for you?
Now the reverse surgery is to reconnect the one end of the intestine and the other end.
To the other end, yeah.
So that now I can have the regular, normal functioning system
of your bowels and
the bowels
and the passing out of urine.
Yes.
I do realize that part of your healing came as a result of your upbringing.
Yes.
Having been brought up in a home where your parents believed and demonstrated by their life that God does answer prayer.
Yes.
And as you talk to our viewers, even this time, I know that during this time, your sister Rose, who introduced me to you, traveled to the United States. Help me to understand how her coming on board did help hold your hand towards the healing process.
Well, when I was taken by the ambulance to the hospital, so my wife took time off and she was able to call my sister and tell her the situation. Well, she had already planned to come about 2 weeks after that, in 2 weeks' time, but she had already done the interview at the embassy, gotten the visa, all that. Now she had to change. Mm-hmm. She just booked the flight for the next day and she traveled. So she got there in 2 days because she had to pass through other places. So she got there in 2 days, and that's when she came to the hospital. This was very uplifting, at least to have a family member being there with you. That sense of having family makes a big difference when you're sick in the hospital. She was supporting, especially to my wife, since she was going through this hard time, and she didn't know what to do. But that was a big support for our family. And
especially a praying sister.
Yes, yes.
Yes. You know that I mentioned to you while we were visiting before we came onto this set that I met Rose and her praying life made a big impression on me.
Yes.
And her focus on praying for you and trusting that God would come through for you.
Yes.
You say her coming on board was a great support to your wife. For those who are joining us, who are seeing us for the first time, I'd just like to mention that Andrew got married and 3 months later, he was diagnosed with this cancer.
Yes.
And at this time, I think of your wife, and I just want you to tell us a little about your wife, so that our viewers can be able to have the feel of her role and just who she is in your life.
Well, my wife is from Trinidad and Tobago. She's not Kenyan, but she looks African. If I'm working with her, you might think she's Kenyan, but no. But besides that, this was a trying moment. In most cases, a lot of people might run away, but because she's a prayerful woman and she loves the Lord, that did not happen. It actually brought us closer, and we were able to go through it. So she plays a significant role in my life. You know, she how can I put it? She helps me to understand other things that I don't understand. Maybe reading the Bible or things like that. So she's able to bring the best out of me.
So your wife is not only support to you as a wife, but also a spiritual support, helping you in this walk.
Yes.
Now, as you, when you had this operation, of course, eventually you get well and get home. Help us just to see your coming home and the things that I know happened shortly after you went home. Share with our viewers.
Okay, by the time, so I stayed in the hospital most of the August. So towards the end of August, that's when I came home. It was a little difficult. I needed some help. I didn't have much strength, but I was able to walk. So I get home. My sister is there, and this happened to be our anniversary. It's already a year.
It's September again.
September again. Mm-hmm. It's our anniversary is coming up, so we had to celebrate that. At least I'm alive, although I'm still sick. Mm-hmm. But I'm alive. God has allowed me to be here, so we had to celebrate the anniversary. That's September. If you look at the pictures, you can see. Yes. Maybe I showed you a little bit. Yes. I still didn't have my hair. I was very weak, all bones. But we had to thank God for giving me the opportunity to still be alive at that moment.
Tell us a little about that celebration, just a little in a few words.
Well, it's a few friends who came together, very close family friends, some from the church, some non-church friends, and my sister. So we just gathered outside and we cut a cake and celebrated the day.
Were you able to taste the cake?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yes.
Not much, just a little bit.
Viewers, I have been visiting with Andrew SEREMANI. An amazing story indeed about a God who answers prayers. Andrew had a brush with death to a point that people around him gave up on him. Not only people around him, there was a time Andrew himself wasn't too sure that he was going to be alive. But God, in his divine purpose, sent a medical missionary, Jim Ayodo, together with his family, who spent time ministering to him. He had a setback when he had this perforation. But again, God saw him through. And he still is here to share his story with us. I just want to ask Andrew to say something about what keeps him going so that he can share with you just a little as we come to the end of our session today, what he does on a day-to-day basis, along with a little about his prayer life that keeps him alive. I'd like to ask you to look straight into the camera and just share what keeps you going, and just share a little about your homecoming.
First thing is to pray. Prayer is very important in our daily life. Also, now that I learned from the missionaries, I had to change all my diet. I had to eat the right foods, which is what is in the Bible. Basically, it's plant-based, no animal products, no sugars, because you get all that from the fruits, nuts, and also having enough exercise every day. Walking is the best exercise, actually, especially if you're able to walk early in the morning in a park where there are trees. You get the best oxygen in the morning. Getting vitamin D from the sun. Also, trusting in God. It's very important in my life. So that's basically what I do almost every day. And to my viewers, I would like to say, try and learn more about God. It will help you in your life.
I want to say that what came out very strongly in Andrew's story, besides everything else that he has wound up, is the centrality of prayer. The importance of family support when one is undergoing this kind of trial. And the support not only of family, but of those that believe like you do, like his support came from also his church members. But I want to say that God means it when he says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked ways and seek his face, then he will hear and forgive our sins and heal our land. And the healing is not just about land. It's about healing your family. It's about healing your being. It's about healing you spiritually. I want to invite you to try God. Thank you. See you next week.